Hi everybody, welcome back to Enjoying Retirement. Today I'm putting together a side-mounted trolling motor on my 2015 Hobie Outback kayak. Here's a view of the motor. It's a Watersnake 34 electric. We'll get into it in a bit, but there it is mounted on the kayak, all set to go out and give it a try and do some fishing. The heart of it is the backboard, which I put together using a 36-inch piece of aluminum that was formerly part of a tabletop clamping system. It's very rigid, and I think it'd be perfect here. At each end, I got a 2x4 that I cut down a bit and then ground down to the angle appropriate where the Schedule 40 PVC goes into the existing rod holders, and that allows the board to stand up perpendicular to the kayak. You can see I have some tie downs. That's just to keep it from tilting any bit when the load of the motor is off to the side. The power is a 75 amp lithium ion battery. I took off the trolling motor alligator clips, put lugs on it, and then connected the battery to a 50 amp circuit breaker, and then a quick disconnect connector right there. Put the other end on the trolling motor itself. I cut one side away from a Home Depot milk crate, installed the battery, have it strapped in, and then put the acrylic flap on top to ensure that nothing accidentally crosses the terminals, even though I have them taped up and have protectors on it. Here it is with it all installed in the kayak. It fits perfectly. That's my cooler that I hopefully put some fish in. It's holding down the tail end of that milk crate, and then everything fits right in the well there. And then here's the trolling motor in its position. Now I'm going to take off. We're going to give this thing a try. I didn't really get the trolling motor for my Hobie, even though it will come in handy as I get a little bit older and even on some excursions, but I primarily won't be using it here. I got it for the inflatable Sea Eagle 420 that you may have seen me use down in Florida. I decided that I needed something a little bit more powerful and that I could rely on in case things got a little bit windy and choppy down there. If I were doing this just for my Hobie, I'd get something a little bit smaller so that it could probably go into the cutout where the pedals are right now. But I wanted a dual purpose motor, so I got this one. It's sized for the inflatable, but it is bigger, which means that it should handle chop better. I don't think I'll get any more speed out of it, but it should handle the chop better. And right now, I'm going through the various speeds, and it is working beautifully. I'm very pleased with how it's performing at this point. I keep it in the straightforward position and then use a standard Hobie rudder to maneuver, and it is really working out. I wasn't expecting the chop I saw out here this day. The weather forecast was for the wind to have died down, but it didn't. That's okay. It gave me a good chance to see how this would perform in chop, not just on a calm day. And it really held up well. A little bit later on, we'll get into some things that'll change, and I'll do some speed tests and show you. But for now, let's just see how this works in the chop that I'm facing. It's a little bit back heavy, as you would expect, having the battery back there and the motor, so the front's riding a little bit higher. But it's really performing. It's not slowing down, which is what I would expect it from the 34 amp motor as opposed to if I'd gone with the 24. So I think this is going to work out fine for this kayak as well as for the Sea Eagle. Now I'm back in the river itself. It's a little bit calmer, still breezy. Going to do it here. I am on speed 3. It's a 5-speed motor. I average 2.4 miles an hour on speed 3. Speed 4, I average 2.8 miles per hour. In a moment here, we'll get to speed 5, and there you'll see that I was averaging 4 miles an hour. The downside of running on speed 5 is that you're burning the full 34 amps. I think I'd like something at about 3.2, 3.3 miles an hour, and to do that, I'm going to have to build a pulse width modulator. It's not hard or expensive, it's just another device in the kayak, and there's already limited room, but I'm going to do it. Now, while we're getting into Speed 5 here, I have a few things on my to-do list for version 2. Going to add height of the motor mount. As it is now, the base of the motor drags a little bit in the water when I have it in the horizontal. Going to get the right rod holder raised up and out of the way so it doesn't interfere with lowering the motor. And I'm going to build that PWM. Beautiful sight. Well, if there's any interest, I'll go into more detail about how I put that together, but it looks like it's going to be great for my Hobie. And then I'll put one together for my Sea Eagle. Thanks, and as always, I am enjoying retirement.